would like to ask you, as an American Christian, do you feel victimized by the secularism in our society? I mean, do you feel that secularists are trying to take away your religion? So, as an example, not allowing public school dictated prayer in public schools. Do you feel that that is secularism taking away your right to believe and worship?
No. No, I don't.
It's actually kind of surprising. So you're completely okay with not teaching creationism in schools?
Yeah.
So you believe that evolution is an accurate theory?
And I have the utmost respect for professors who teach evolution as a process. My problem is with the intellectual dishonesty of so many professors who teach evolution not as a process, but as an origin. And they do that in the name of science. That is intellectually dishonest, I am convinced. Evolution as an origin is not science, it's philosophy. It's a philosophy of science. And I've had the privilege of debating several evolutionists who have pointed out very clearly that to try and use science to prove God is intellectually dishonest, and they've been equally honest to try and they've said, and to try and use science to disprove God is intellectually dishonest.
I would say that you cannot compare faith, something that rests completely on a person's belief and not necessarily any need for evidence. You can't really compare that to a way of thinking that relies entirely on evidence. Faith is all about proving, and this is right. Science is about disproving. You can never prove something in science. You can only disprove or support.
I disagree. My brother is involved in genetic research to help the body take in the new liver and kidney without rejecting it. He's a transplant surgeon, and he does research. I can promise you, my brother is trying to find out how to genetically manipulate things so that the transplants that he makes will be accepted by the body. So I view science as a tremendous, fantastic area of knowledge where we're trying to discover how to solve problems. We're not just trying to negate things, we're trying to follow the evidence. Where does the evidence lead?
Right, and you do that by systematically testing in a way that you can either support or disprove, but
Yes.
can never prove.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't compare faith and science. You can't use science to try to prove God, because how can you prove something with science? Science doesn't prove, it only supports or disproves. And God, by definition of faith, cannot be proven. It cannot be, you can say, oh, well,
Interesting.
you know,
Right.
I feel God in me.
Right.
I feel a spiritual connection. I can, when I read the Bible, I feel that connection with something greater than me.
Right.
But those are only feelings.
Okay.
And science can show them in an MRI. We were kind of talking about feelings earlier, and love, and you can see that in an MRI. So.
Okay, I would express it differently. I would say there is evidence that God exists. Not scientific evidence, but philosophical, rational, reasoning evidence. Order and design demand an intelligent mind. In my observation of life, 100 times out of 100, when I see order and design, it points me to a designer. A beautiful piece of art demands an artist. A delicious meal demands a chef. A magnificent building demands an architect and a builder. When I stand at the foot of Mount Rushmore, if I say, wow, isn't it amazing the way the water dripped over the rock? Oh, there's George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, there's Teddy Rough Rider Roosevelt. That's ludicrous. The order and design of Mount Rushmore demands a sculpture. Mr. Borglund, I think was his name. See, order and design, in my experience, demands an intelligent mind. If anybody tries to convince me that this sweater came about as a result of a hurricane passing through a cotton field, I don't agree. I got a real problem with that.
I would definitely agree that that you need a designer to create something as simplistic as a material object like your sweater. I think that it takes the beauty and magnificence of evolution and time and trial and error and species having mistakes in their DNA and being born and either being successful or unsuccessful. That is design. Evolution is design. It is a chaotic design, and without your godly intelligence behind it, but it is nonetheless beautiful and can be shown through scientific exploration, because you cannot deny all of the evidence supporting evolution. There has not been a piece of evidence disproving the theory, and
As a process, but not as an origin. See, the question, is there an intelligent mind behind the process of evolution, is not a scientific question. It's a philosophical question. So what do you think? Is it more reasonable to believe that behind the amazing process of evolution there's an intelligent mind? Or do you think it's more reasonable to believe behind the amazing process of evolution there's no intelligent mind? It's all just chance and fate. What's more reasonable?
reasonable or comforting?
Reasonable and plausible.
Reasonable, I think it is a lot more reasonable to think that to believe in a chaotic theory that things happen, instead of believing that there is this magical being in the sky that controls things. Because where did that magical being come from?
Okay, that's a great question. Obviously, Albert Einstein thought at one time, along with Aristotle and others, that the universe was eternal. And therefore there's no need for God, because the universe is eternal. The Big Bang Theory came along and showed, no, sorry, universe is not eternal. Universe is about 15 billion years old. Einstein was sharp. Einstein understood, uh-oh, if this is true, that the universe is not eternal, it means there's got to be a God, a creator.
Why?
Why? Because everything that has a beginning has a cause. If the universe has a beginning, then the universe has a cause.
So is God eternal?
Correct. God is an uncaused cause, without beginning, eternal. And that is by far the most reasonable answer to the question, what is eternal? Because the Big Bang shows us the universe is not eternal. It's about 15 billion years old. So the question is, who or what caused the universe?
But who or what caused the thing that caused the universe? We're talking...
All right. If there is a God, he's an uncaused cause. He's eternal.
And right here, you talk about God as a male. Why? Who's to say that God has a gender?
Oh, that's very simple, man. God doesn't have big biceps and facial hair. When we say God is he, the only reason we say he is because we don't have a personal neuter pronoun. The only neuter pronoun we have is it. And God is not an it. God is a personal being who loves. But you're right.
So God is a person?
Personal being. Personal being. Not body, torso, head, arms, legs. Personal being, a spiritual being, but not an it. God is not the force. God is a personal being who loves you. It's pretty good news, isn't it?
Well, some people would disagree with you, but...
On what basis? Why would someone say, ah, shoot, God loves me, I hate that?
No, I'm arguing that multiple people would disagree with you that God loves me.
Good gracious, what kind of person would say God doesn't love you?
Well, doesn't the Bible say that if someone doesn't believe in God and accept him into their heart, that they're going to eternal damnation?
Yes.
How can something love me and also want to give me pain? How can something love me conditionally? That's not love. Love is unconditional. And if God loves me, then he, she, it is not sending me to eternal damnation.
All right, all you got to do is think carefully. What does the Bible say about hell? What it says crystal clearly is, heaven is relationship with God, together with God. Hell is separation from God. And because God is tolerant, and because God respects your free will, God refuses to force you to live life now with him and then haul you into heaven to spend eternity with him. Instead, he respects your free will. And if you choose to live your life separate from God, you have that right. He's tolerant. He respects your right. And he's not going to force you to spend eternity with him in heaven. If
But
you
he
want to
will
live your
force
life
me
separate
to
from him,
spend
you'll spend
eternity in
eternity
hell?
separate from him. That's hell.
So hell isn't like Dante's Inferno?
That's right. Dante
Okay.
didn't know about hell.
So,
Correct.
so hell isn't this eternal pain and anguish. It's just me not being with God.
Well, wait a second. You're a beautiful woman. You have gifts. You experience pleasure. You obviously have a brilliant mind. Those are all gifts from God. And when you're separated from God, you're separated from the one who gave you all those good gifts. It ain't going to be a party. Because you're separated from the one who has blessed you with all the tremendous gifts that you enjoy.
Actually, I feel most separate from the beauty that is humanity when I'm in a church, when I'm surrounded by organized religion.
But look at Jesus Christ. Read the Gospels and check out Christ. And don't allow the church to turn you off to Jesus. That'd be horrible.
Excuse me, I shouldn't have said, I should not have only singled out organized religion. When I think about a being, a father-like paternal being,
Yes.
watching over me and loving me and saying, oh, well, I'll let you have your free will because I gave it to you, I don't feel connected. I feel connected when I think about evolution. I feel connected when I look at Papua New Guinea. I feel connected when I look at the evolution from mammals onto land and then mammals back into water, because that's what the conditions of the time provided for. And we have fossil evidence that whales, what we now have as aquatic mammals, whales, once lived on land. Do you think that that's, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are simple. If God used evolution to create, wonderful. But I can promise you, if you take God out of the equation of evolution, social Darwinism and eugenics makes total logical sense. And ma'am, I can promise you, there ain't one beautiful thing about social Darwinism or eugenics.
No, I am
and
not
social
saying that at all.
Darwinism and eugenics are totally logical, following
No.
up on
No.
Darwinism if there is no God.
No, okay, because that is once again putting the power of evolution into some being, into some creator. But evolution
It is
does
not. Social
Yes.
Darwinism has nothing to do with the creator.
Social Darwinism is humans taking evolution into their own hands.
No, it's not.
Then what is eugenics?
It's eugenics is the logical consequence of understanding that evolution is survival of the fittest. Evolution is an upward cycle, upward path, and let's help evolution. Let's not waste our natural resources, which are limited, on helping handicapped people, helping subhuman humans. Let's instead push for the survival of the fittest. Why should you waste your natural resources, which are very limited, on handicapped people? It's a waste of time. Instead, let's all evolve up the ladder, according to evolution. That is very logical. I'm not saying you have to go there, but that is very logical. Social Darwinism and eugenics make total sense if there is no God and we just are the result of the evolutionary cycle.